and welcome to another lawnfawn video. Today we are so excited to be introducing our brand new stamp set, Beary Rainy Day, and its coordinating dies. We're also going to be introducing our new Rainy Sky stencil too. So let's go ahead and check it out. First, we're going to take a look at the stamp set, and we have this adorable bear, and he's holding an umbrella, and I just love him so much. Then we have another cute bear in a different position, and I just love their raincoats. And then we have some baby bears, and I love how dynamic they all are. They're so fun to mix and match. Then we have these cute little frogs that are really fun for setting the scene, and I love putting them in the little pools of water. And here's one of the pools of water, and then next to it we have 3 different styles of splashes. And those splashes are perfect for that baby bear that's jumping. He can jump right into those water splashes. There's also a cloud in this set to help set the scene, and then we have some raindrops in 2 different styles. So we have heart-shaped raindrops, and then raindrop-shaped raindrops. We also have an individual version of both of those to help fill your rainy sky scene. There is a closed umbrella, and then we also have a little smiley face that you could add to the cloud or to that little umbrella. It looks really cute too. We have some fun sentiments. We have make a splash, we have have a happy day, I love you, and then the phrase rain or shine, and I love that sentiment. I love you, rain or shine. Next, we're going to use some Copic markers to fill in these images. And for the bears, I like doing lots of different shades of brown, but these E40s are one of my favorites, and I find them really easy to blend to, especially for a bigger image like this bear. Now, this bear is one of my favorites because he is such a large image. He's a really great focal image on a card. So you could do a pretty quick and simple card with just the bear in the middle with a sentiment, and because of his cool umbrella and everything, it's going to be the perfect card that would make someone smile. Now, I always love to color these raincoats in yellow. I just think they look so cute in yellow, and this is my favorite combination. And I'm just putting some shadings kind of around the edges of the jacket, like where the seams overlap or the pockets or in all of the little crevices, and then we're just blending that out into light. Now, for this umbrella, I love to do a rainbow umbrella. It always makes me smile to have a rainbow, but this umbrella looks really great in a solid color as well. I just can't help myself. When I see an umbrella like this, it has to be a rainbow one. I only wish I had one in real life just like this. So I'm going to blend out all of those colors, and then for underneath the umbrella, I'm going to be doing the turquoise that kind of really isn't in the colors above, and that works really well. You could also do a gray or like a dark blue. Looks really nice for the interior part of the umbrella. Next, we're going to start working on the other bear, and I'm going to use a different shade of brown for him, some E50 markers. And then I'm going to be doing a little bit of a different color for his raincoat as well. And I love the images in this set so much because they are so fun to mix and match. Each one looks great on their own, but they're really great to mix and match into scenes. And I love that we have the 2 kind of like big kind of mama papa bears, and then we have the baby bears below. They're just so much fun to mix and match. They look really great on slimline cards, on A2 size cards. It looks really awesome in our brand new interactive platform pop-up. So there's so many ways to use these cute bears. And here you can see I'm now doing that green raincoat, which I thought was so pretty. And it got me kind of out of my traditional yellow, which I always almost use. I had seen one of the girls in our design team had colored the raincoat this way, and I thought it was so pretty. And I really like going out into a really light colored marker. I think it looks just beautiful. And then we're going to do a little yellow on the rain boots for him. Now we're going to be going back to yellow for my next little bear. I just love the yellow raincoat. And you'll see here I'm laying down my lightest marker as to where my shading's going to go. And I do that for 2 reasons. One reason is it just gives me a chance to test it out before I lay down that dark marker, right? I just have my light marker there and I go, do I like that or not? The other thing I like about it too is it wets the paper and it makes it a little bit easier for me to blend. Now for this raincoat, you'll notice that I didn't blend out the dark areas that much. And I think it was just kind of like a cool and different look and made the jacket look almost like it was a little worn or dirty, and I thought that was really fun too. And then here we're going to go for some kind of hot pinks for this raincoat. And that's one of the things I love about this is that you could use these raincoats to match whichever cardstock or pattern paper you're using. You could pick someone's favorite color for their raincoat and kind of personalize the card for them in that way. So I love that you can do anything with those guys. And then now we're just going to blend out dark to medium to light on that cute little bear's face. And then I went back in and added a little more shading around his chin and little snout there. We're going to add some green to the frogs, and I love bringing in that really light kind of lime green into the frogs. I think it makes them look really, really just happy and cool. And then I always like to use these turquoisey colors for the puddles. I don't know why, I just think it looks so pretty. And so I add a little bit of darkness, very light, and then blend it out into almost nothing. I leave some of the areas plain white, and I think that looks really nice for these splashes. It really makes it look like the water's just splashing right out. We'll add a little bit of that light color onto the raindrops and the cloud. And then I'm going to go ahead and color in that umbrella to match the raincoat of my hot pink bear. And then I used a darker marker to add some cute little polka dots. I think it'd be fun to add a little stripe or plaid pattern to that umbrella as well. Here we have the coordinating dies, which you can bend apart at the tabs or use your wire snips to separate. We're going to take those dies and we're going to line them up with our stamped images, hold it in place with some low tack tape like Post-it note tape or washi tape, run it through the die cut machine, and we'll have perfectly cut out images every time. Here is a look at all of the different images in this set and how you can mix and match them. You could add splashes to the top of the umbrella or puddles of water under the bears. That little bear there can hold hands with the larger bear, and that's so sweet. And then the jumping bear looks great with those splashes coming out as he jumps in the puddle. Here you can see how cute and fun it is to give our little walking guy that umbrella to hold, and then our little frogs can go inside of those little lake pools of water as well. And then you can take the cloud and you can put that right on top of the different styles of raindrops. So many different ways to mix and match. Next up, we're going to take a look at the rainy sky stencil, and I love this stencil for creating rainy skies. So it is so much fun and easy to use. Here we have a 5.5 by 4.25 standard size card. And we have that in a landscape orientation. We're just going to put our stencil right on top and then ink lightly over it. In this case, I'm using a kiddie pool ink, but I think it would look really pretty if you did some white pigment ink over a blue sky. It would look beautiful with these raindrops as well. And here you can see how nice it looks on a landscape orientation. Now it also works on a portrait orientation. So here you can see we have the same size card, just now portrait, and it looks great in either way. Another way to use this stencil is to actually take the stencil and flip it over. That way your raindrops are going in the other direction. And you may want them to go in the other direction depending on the design that you're looking for in your card. So now they're dropping down to that bottom right-hand corner instead. And both ways look totally awesome. Now, another way to use this is to turn the whole stencil so that the raindrops are falling at a steeper angle. Maybe it's a bigger storm, right? Once again, you can change it and move things around depending on the look that you're going for. So all we did is just angle it a little bit. We're going to ink that up. And now we have raindrops falling at a sharper angle instead of the ones that are falling a little bit more towards a straight down angle. So I love that you can just mix and match and create the exact rainy sky that you need for your card. Next up, we're going to be recreating a card by Elena, and this card is so cute and sweet. And we're starting here with the largest of the outside-in stitched rectangles, die cut out of white cardstock, and we're going to ink blend on a ground. And we're using some pizza crust ink, which is a nice light brown, and so we're just going to build that up towards the bottom. And the nice thing about this is it doesn't have to be perfect. We want the two colors eventually to blend into each other, so I'm just kind of building it up until it looks like a nice little ground that my rainy day bears are going to be able to hang out on. Once we have that color built up to be our perfect ground, we're going to start working on the sky. And for the sky, we're going to be using some Minty Fresh ink, and it's one of my favorite colors for skies. And I think it looks really, really pretty with that pizza crust ink as well. And so I'm going to pick this color up and I'm going to ink up the sky up towards the top. And I'm going to start really light and then kind of build up the color from there. And we'll have darker along the outside and then lighter towards the middle, having it almost fade out into the white as we go down towards that pizza crust floor that we created. And you can see how pretty the color is looking as we build it up. Now it's time to take out our rainy sky stencil. So we're going to take this stencil and layer it over this whole inked background. And we're actually going to be using that exact same Minty Fresh ink for the raindrops. Because we stayed fairly light for the background, now we can have a heavier hand over the raindrops. And by using a heavier hand, it's going to almost look like we have two colors of ink, but they're going to match completely perfectly. So here you can see I'm really picking up a lot of ink and going over and over the raindrops so that they're nice and dark on that lighter another sky that we created with the same exact color. So I'm just going to keep building that up until I see some nice dark raindrops. We're going to leave this stencil in place and we're going to be using the brand new clear stencil paste. So this is completely clear and it just leaves a shiny color. So we're going to go right over top of the stencil where we already had inked with our Minty Fresh ink, and we're going to take this clear stencil paste and we're going to do a nice thin layer over top of these raindrops. So I'm just using my spatula, you can see there, to get into all of the different raindrops, trying not to go into the brown section, the ground section of my card. So you'll see there I'm just being careful right along that edge, and then I'm just scraping off any of the excess on there. And this is going to be nice and clear, and so it's going to take on whatever color is underneath it. And there you can see just how beautiful this is. So not only does it give a raised look, which is really nice texture, it makes it shiny just like raindrops, and I love this look so much. I set that aside to dry and went ahead and stamped, colored, and die cut a bunch of images from the Beary Rainy Day set. And in this case, we stuck to more pastel type colors. And so at the beginning, I colored them in very bold colors, and now we're doing them in much lighter pastels. And I think this is such a pretty look and such a different look for this set. As soon as I saw this card by Ellen, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to make it and try to color the bears like this because it's so sweet. Now I'm going to have that one little bear hold the hand of the other bear. So I kind of put the little bear down first, and then I put some foam squares behind the larger bear and kind of line them right up so it looks like they're holding hands. We're going to take that water splash and put it right at the top of the umbrella, just like that rain was falling down and hitting the umbrella. And then we have our little jumping guy. He's going to be in a little puddle, and then we're going to add the splashes. And once you add the splashes, you can almost imagine him jumping into those puddles. It's so cute and sweet. Next, we're going to add some clouds into the scene. And one thing I love to do with clouds to help kind of integrate them in everything we've already added onto the card is to layer them behind some of the images. So we're going to layer one behind that jumping bear, and we're going to layer one behind the umbrella. And you can see as you layer them behind, it kind of integrates those clouds into the entire stamp scene that we have going on. These last two we're going to layer together and have them just kind of floating out there above our cute little bear that's holding hands. And then now we're going to work on our sentiment, and we're going to use my favorite sentiment from the set, which is I love you, rain or shine. And I'm going to stamp both of these along the edge of some cardstock, and then we're going to take a sentiment banner die and we're going to line it up right there with that sentiment so that one end is going to have a flagged end and the other end is just going to have the straight cut of that cardstock. And you'll see how nice that looks. And we'll do the same thing with the word I love you. So it has a flag and then a nice straight end on the side. Now here we have a standard size card base at 5.5 by 4.25, and this is going to give us a really nice little 1/8 inch border that's just white cardstock, which I think looks really pretty. And then once we have that layered on top, then we can start to layer our sentiments into the scene. So we're going to do the rain or shine towards the top and then the I love you on the other side. And I love that it looks like the sentiments are coming from each end. Now that one I had made just a little bit too long, so I just trimmed off the excess. And then this one ended up being the perfect length, so we were able to just layer that right on there. And this card is just so cute and fun, but it needed one extra little thing. So I'm going to take out our brand new clear glaze, and we're going to add it just to those raindrops that are right on top of the umbrella that are kind of splashing it off. I thought it would look really nice with the clear stencil paste that we use. So I'm just layering some right along the inside there of each of those drops of water, and that little extra shine makes the whole card. I feel like it just looks so pretty. There you can see how gorgeous that is, that little three-dimensional glaze right on top. And then as I tilt the card into the light, you can see the beautiful shine that is on that rainy sky stencil and then the shine that we have with the clear glaze. And oh my goodness, I had so much fun creating this card. Now, next up, we're going to be doing a really cool inked background, and we're recreating a card by Mindy that was just gorgeous. So thank you so much, Mindy. So here we're going to do some heat embossing in white. So I'm going to use my anti-static powder tool and add that onto the cardstock so that my embossing powder only sticks to the image we're stamping. And we're going to be stamping Make A in some clear embossing ink. Then we'll sprinkle on that white powder, and we can tap on the side of the cardstock, and you'll see it's only on the word, and then we're going to heat that up. And we're going to be doing an embossed resist technique, and you'll see that that white embossing powder is going to kind of come out and resist the ink and look really, really cool as we create our sky. So we're starting out with some Prize Ribbon Distress Oxide ink, and you can already see those words appearing. Now you'll notice that they are dyed blue a little bit. Don't worry, at the very end, once we're done creating the background, we're going to buff those letters with a towel, and they're going to be bright white again. We're going to move on to our medium blue colored ink, which is Salty Ocean, and we're going to build up that color. And then where the two colors meet, we're going to go back and forth. So now we've brought out the Prize Ribbon, the darker blue, and then we're going to go back to the Salty Ocean. And you'll see when we do that, it makes this beautiful seamless blend. Now we're going to take out an even lighter color blue, which is Tumble Glass, and do the same exact thing. So we'll build up the color, and then we'll bring back that Salty Ocean color to be able to blend between the two to create this great gradient. Now remember how we talked about buffing off the ink? This is just a dry towel, and I'm going right over those letters, and look how perfect they look. I love that the sentiment is so nice and bright white on there. Now to create the look of rain, we're going to take a spray bottle with some clean water in it, and we're going to spray on that ink, and you'll see it's reacting with it. Then I'm just picking up any of the excess water with my paper towel. And how cool does that look? It looks like there's just a ton of raindrops in the sky. It's so much fun to do. I'm going to spray just a bit more water just to add a few more raindrops to the sky, and then we're going to set this whole piece aside to dry. Now we're going to be creating this whole scene for our rainy day bears, and so what we're going to do next is create some asphalt. We're going to do that by using a piece of gray cardstock. This is narwhal cardstock, and then we're going to take some black soot distress ink and we're going to ink the top. And by starting with a color of cardstock and just adding a little bit of ink, it's going to look almost like we ink blended the whole thing, and it really does give it the look of asphalt. I'm going to set that aside as well, and now we're going to work on the rest of the sentiment, and we're using the brand new Henry's ABCs. I love this alphabet die so much, and we're going to die cut a ton of letters to spell out the word splash. And here you'll see that we have them die cut in white and then in some shimmer cardstock, and we're going to be stacking these letters to create a dimensional look. So I added some liquid glue with the glue tube onto one S, and then stacked another white S on top, and then another white cardstock piece right on top of that. And then for the fourth one, that's the one we're going to use with that beautiful shimmer cardstock. And now we've created this dimensional thick letter that almost feels like it's kind of like a pre-bought embellishment. It looks so cool. So we'll do the same thing with each letter. We're going to layer 3 in white cardstock, and then the fourth one is going to be our beautiful shimmer in that light aqua color. So we've done all of our letters here. We're going to finish up with that H. And then we can take all of these letters and start to layer them on that background that we created. And this is the rest of the sentiment. And I love doing this, is I like to take a sentiment from the set, and in this set we had make a splash, and choose one word and make that die cut letter. So we stamp the make a, and then we die cut the word splash, and it's such a cool look, and it makes such a bold statement. So I lined up all the letters, and then once they were in perfect placement, picked up each one, added a little bit of liquid glue, and adhered them onto the card base. Now we needed a little grass for our scene, so here we have some Cilantro cardstock and then some Lucky Clover Distress Oxide ink, and just like we did with the asphalt, we're just adding a little bit of inking to the top of colored cardstock to help it blend in with our entire ink blended sky. Now this is the Picket fence border die, and went ahead and die cut that out of white cardstock, and now we're going to layer these pieces together. So the asphalt will go onto the grass, and then the grass is going to go onto the picket fence. And so I'm just going to trim that down to 4 1/4, which is the width of the card, and then we're going to add some tape runner to the back and then just layer that right on top. And you can see this cute scene start to form. Next, we're going to take out our Beary Rainy Day bears, and this time we've colored their raincoats in a nice bold red, and the umbrella is in a yellow. And I think these colors are so happy and fun, and they look so amazing on this bright blue backdrop. I just love this color combo that Mindy did. And here you can see that we put the bear with the umbrella right in the center, and now we're going to have this little baby bear there holding his hand, and we'll add a little puddle of water right underneath them to help ground them into our asphalt that we created. A little frog in the background because he's so cute. And then this guy is my favorite, this little jumping bear. He's going to be jumping into those splashes, so I'm going to layer the splashes behind him, and the splashes are going to be flat on the ground, but the bear is going to be popped up, and I think that's going to give it a really cool kind of 3-dimensional dynamic look. Now remember that the stamp set has this cluster of raindrops that you can stamp? Well, when you die cut them with the coordinating die, it actually cuts them into little individual raindrops or a little duo of raindrops. So with one pass through the die cut machine, you get a ton of tiny little raindrops that you can add to the card. And this is how I love to add them. So we're adding them into the scene all around our letters, and I think it looks so cool. I love the addition of the stamped raindrops on top of the water splash technique that we did on the inked background. I think it's such a cool combo. Now here is a standard size card base at 5.5 by 4.25, and we're going to layer our whole scene on top. And this card is all done. It's so cute and so much fun. I absolutely adore it. I had such a blast making it, and it's so fun to create cool custom backgrounds and fun, cute little scenes with this set. Next up, Shari is going to create another cool inky backdrop, and it's so fun. So take it away, Shari.
So to make my Beary Rainy Day card, I am going to start out by making a stormy sky. So I have a piece of distress watercolor cardstock. I've smushed down some distress ink in stormy sky, which is very appropriate, onto my craft mat here. And then I'm just coating my paper first with a bunch of clean water. Then I'm going to go in with that water, add it to that distress ink, and start picking up that color and dropping it onto my paper. Now this is going to look pretty messy for a little while, but we're just going to keep adding layers to it, and it's going to look like a fun, stormy, inky sky when we're finished. This is just to kind of add a base layer of color that all my other splotches and splatters are going to go against. So this is really just to kind of color the cardstock to start with. And I'm going to dry it between layers so that I get a lot of layers and they're not going to run together because my paper's still wet. So now that I've dried it, I'm picking up some more of that stormy sky, adding it in. I'm going to dry it once more. And drying it between layers really gives some different textures. Now I'm picking up what's left on my craft mat, so I've got some little splattery dots down there at the bottom. And then I'm going in with a different color of distress ink. So this is Faded Jeans, which is a bit darker. I've made a really big palette of dots of water to pick up with my paper. So I just added water, kind of smeared it around till I get all those droplets on my craft mat. And then I'm just going to take my paper directly to it. Now remember, this paper was dry, it wasn't wet anymore. So those droplets are going to keep their shape instead of washing out into the wetness that was on the paper before. So now you can see I'm starting to get some really fun rainy texture. I'm taking a stitch rectangle to cut this out to create a little panel for my scene to go on. And then now that I have it die cut, I'm going to darken up the edges a bit. This is also that Faded Jeans distress ink, but I'm just going in with an ink blending tool and darkening up the edges to define them a little bit. So this is our lovely stormy sky that our scene is going to go on top of. So I've got my little bear here. He's already colored and cut out. I really love the classic yellow rain slicker, and then I wanted to color his umbrella in rainbow colors as soon as I saw this stamp set. You'll see him in just a minute again to get a better look at his coloring. But first, I'm taking the rainy backdrop die and cutting out the raindrops from that watercolored piece. Then I've taken the same rectangle, cut out a piece of silver glitter cardstock, and I'm going to layer that behind. So I'm going to get these shimmery silver raindrops in my rainy sky. Now for the base where all my little characters are going to sit, I've used that same stitch rectangle to cut out a piece of Cilantro cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment along the bottom. So I've just put that in my MISTI. I'm going to ink that up. This will be able to tell me where I can die cut it to have enough space for the sentiment and for my little bears to be centered in my panel. So I've just got these laying here for placement. I know where I want to cut that simple stitch hillside, so I've gone ahead and cut that, and then I'm adding a little bit of Lucky Clover Distress Oxide ink to the top of this little hill. It just kind of darkens it up and I think it makes it match that dark rainy sky a little bit better. So I'll just add this to the bottom of my panel. This is also why I did not bother to darken up the edges along the bottom. I knew I would be covering it up with my ground piece. And then I'm putting this on a kraft cardstock base, but before I do that, I want to do some stenciling of some clouds, just so you see a little bit more interest on the sides of this panel. So I'm going in with some tea dye distress ink with a very light hand, and I'm going to add some little clouds to my background. I really like tea dye distress ink on kraft cardstock. It gives you a really fun tone-on-tone look. And these clouds are just going to add some more interest to the outside border of our little scene. So I'm not too concerned about the center that's going to get covered up. I'm really focusing on the left and right side. And you can see how that just adds a little bit more interest to the card than just the plain kraft cardstock did. So I'm just working my way down. I'm almost to the bottom, and at the very bottom, I'll just go in with that tea dye distress ink and just darken up the bottom edge. I'm not going to worry about a cloud at the bottom, but I want that dark color to match all the way around. And then I'm also adding some white metallic watercolor splatters. This is going to give me some shine around those outside edges of the card, and it's going to look really good with those shimmery silver raindrops that we have on that panel in the middle. So now that those watercolor droplets have dried, I can go ahead and glue my panel that I've created to my card base. And you can see how we have that shimmer all over the card now on the outside edge borders and where those raindrops are. And then I can start to add my images. So here's my little bear that you saw earlier, and then my cute little bear who's jumping into a puddle. I also have a puddle here for him to jump into. And I'm just laying these to try to figure out my placement. I can add that little puddle. And then I'm going to pop my bears up on some foam squares. So he's jumping into that puddle. I really love this bear with the umbrella. It might be my favorite from this release. And like I said, the rainbow umbrella is that's just the way I want to color that umbrella all the time. And then there's that cute little frog who's jumping too. I just thought it was fun to add him. And then I have a little splash of water to add where my bear is jumping into the puddle. I've also stamped out some clouds and colored them, just adding a little bit of dots to them. And I like to have them overhang this square panel that I created and just kind of take this scene out past the edge and onto the border. And then finally, I'm adding some shimmery Stardust stickles to the inside of that umbrella, which I thought was really fun, and to the water splash and a little bit of accent onto the clouds. And then here is my finished Beary Rainy Day card. It may be one of my favorite cards I've made in a while, and I just love all that shimmer, and I love these cute little bears so much.
This card is just so beautiful, Shari. I love it so much. And next up, we have some incredible cards by the design team. And first up, Megan has created the most adorable little interactive card. As you pull that tab, our cute little bear jumps in and out of that water splash. And isn't that just so sweet? Next up, Shari made the cutest card using our brand new giant Get Well Soon die. And I love that rainbow look and the cute bear jumping in the water. Here is the card by Elena that inspired us to make ours today. I just love the pastel color palette on it. And this card by Audrey is just gorgeous. Look at that background she created. I am just in love. Next up, we have a platform pop-up card by Grace that's so cute, and that little rainbow is such a perfect touch to these cute rainy day bears. Here's the card by Mindy that inspired us to make the card today. Isn't that just stunning? Oh my goodness, I love that background. I love the way Elise inked the rainy sky stencil toward the center and then let it fade out into nothing towards the edges. I think that's so beautiful. And then Tammy created a slimline card, and these guys are the perfect size for slimline cards, and I think it's just so cute and fun. I love the way that Yanea used some dotted squares to create little individual scenes for her bears. I can't wait to create a card just like this one. And then here Mindy shows us that our rainy sky stencil is not just for the Beary Rainy Day bears, it's also perfect with our rub-a-dub-dub ducks too. Kara used the four-square backdrop to create 4 little mini scenes that just make me smile. And this card here is so much fun. We inked over some pattern paper with the Rainy Sky stencil, which looks really, really cool. I absolutely adore Maureen's color palette here. That bright pink is just gorgeous, and those frogs jumping all around just make me smile. And then here Letitia used our awesome leafy tree backdrop to create the scene for her Beary Rainy Day bears, and I just love it. So we cannot wait to see what you guys create with this stamp set, so make sure to share it with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!